that is definitely going to be the opening of the video.
So you're going to keep the NASA shirt on?
Yes, I'm offering on Facebook today.
Oh.
So I felt...
Good luck.
Thanks. I felt it was in theme.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's new, too. It makes me...
I'm going to start dressing towards the books I offer on.
Smart, right?
Yeah.
Like if you ever offer on historical, you should come in.
Come in a big gown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been really exciting because, as you know, BookEnds has hit the ground running in nonfiction.
Yes.
So in the past, I would say 2 years, we started upping our game in nonfiction again. And
the whole gamut.
Yeah.
Cookbooks, memoirs, business, motivation, self-help.
Yeah. Narrative.
Yes.
And children's and adults.
Right. Picture books.
Yeah. And I love it.
It's been fun to watch.
I've missed doing nonfiction, so that's been exciting. But one of the things that has come up is that a nonfiction proposal and submitting nonfiction is different than submitting fiction.
Yeah, very.
And most specifically, I think we should clarify that if you submit a memoir, you're submitting that like fiction.
Yes, memoir, narrative, any narrative nonfiction, right?
Most narrative nonfiction, but if you're a journalist who's writing something, you can often get away with a proposal.
Okay, right.
So it's a little tricky. There's a fine line there, but memoir, definitely you need to write the whole book.
Okay.
So nonfiction is very specific. So if I submit a business book, for example, or even a cookbook or something like that, a lot of it is about the marketing potential of the book, the author's platform, and the hook.
So your platform is basically who you are and what your reach is, right?
Yes, because what the publisher looks at is how many books are you going to sell just because of who you are.
Right, because of who you are, not because of anything the publisher is bringing to the table.
Key. So
if I'm a professor, they want to know I'm a professor. I give talks quarterly.
Yes.
I have...
How many people you give talks to.
Yeah, your audience size. They want to know my online presence.
Yep.
Any conferences I'm going to attend. Any
Yep.
other books that I have out?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So that would be your platform. So let me sort of back up, and we will put the link to the blog post on this too,
Yes.
right? Where we really break it down. The first thing I expect to see in a nonfiction book proposal is an overview.
Right, which is a lot like...
Almost like the book's introduction or combined with a short synopsis.
Right, that's a lot like a fiction synopsis. Like you're giving what the book is going to be.
Yeah, and I envision it only about 2 to 3 pages tops. It can be page and a half. One of the most important things that your voice needs to come through. It can't be in this book. And sometimes I like a personal story in the overview, which includes who you are as the author, what brought you to this book.
And what gives you authority to write it.
What gives you authority to write it, and then what the book will give the readers in an overview form.
Right.
The next thing I want to see is the author's bio. And this goes to what we were talking about with platform.
Yeah, and we also have a video on author bio and how to write one.
Yes.
So we can link that.
Link.
Down there.
And you want to pump it up. It's not enough to just include the letters behind your name. PhD or whatever. MD, right. Whatever. It really, this is where I need to see your platform, your Twitter followers, your social media, the workshops, and all of those other things we just discussed.
Right.
The next step I want to see is marketing information from your perspective. The marketing information is what you bring to the book.
Okay.
The publisher already knows that, business books are 90% of the nonfiction selling. That's not quite right. But what they know the statistics of the book market. So you don't need to give them that. You don't give them what they can do for you. Like you're open to book signings. The publisher's like, yeah, duh, of course you are. Don't bother. What they're saying is you have a schedule. If you have a schedule for the next 2 years of, workshops and things you're doing, include that. Some of this will combine with your bio, things you'll highlight that. That kind of information, what you bring to the table, how you will sell the book through your blog, your social media, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Next thing is competitive titles, and we've talked a lot about
this is one that trips up a lot of people, which is kind of like doing a comp title for fiction. It's sort of that same idea.
It is.
But competitive titles, you're giving more of a reason why they're competitive and how your book is different.
Yes, and they need to be timely.
Right.
A book that's even 5 years old is too old.
Right.
So I want to see 3 to 5, probably around 5, titles that have been published in the last 2 to 3 years that you see as comparable to your book.
Right.
And I want to know in that section, I want to know the title, the author name, the year it was published, the publisher name. And then I really want to hear from you, the author, how you see your book as different.
Right. So your goal in this section is to show that you know the market and show that your book belongs in the market now.
Yes. And don't make it a shred on these other books.
Right, because we've seen that a lot.
Right.
It's not a good look, and it'll just turn the publisher off, and then it makes things harder to submit to that publisher.
Well, yeah, because I may be submitting to the same editors who edited those books, and they don't want to see how you and the author thinks their book failed completely. Yeah. And then after the marketing section, we get into the book itself. I usually like the table of contents, your vision for the table of contents. We need at least 2 chapters, if not 3 sample chapters. I like maybe the first, I think what works is the book's introduction, first chapter, and then a chapter from later in the book.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like sometimes the first few chapters are intro material, and sometimes later in the book is when we get to the hardcore work.
Okay.
So I want
That's a good tip.
So I want to see and hear what you think.
And now, do you give a chapter overview for the rest of the chapters?
So yeah, for every chapter you don't include a sample
Take your
of.
time.
Every chapter you don't include a sample of, you should do an overview, which is maybe about a half a page, couple paragraphs.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
And the overview cannot be a chapter 2. In this chapter, I will tell you blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's dry and remedial, and it feels like you're writing a high school English paper.
Snooze alert.
You have to still let your voice come through.
Yeah, you really have to. It should be written, your overview should be written as if they're a synopsis of each chapter.
Right.
That we get a real feel for how the book will be written. A good agent, when they take you on, will work with you on this. A lot of authors I've taken on in the nonfiction realm didn't have much of any of this, and we really worked
developing it.
Yeah, a lot of what we did was developing it, but that's what will be expected, and that's what I will want to take out to publishers.
Right. So when an agent requests your nonfiction submission off of a query, that is what you submit. You're not submitting the full book. You don't have to even have the full book written.
No.
That is what you want to do, and we're going to link a written breakdown of that below.
Yeah. Yep, we've got it on the blog.
Good luck. We want to see your queries.
Can't wait.